Hello everyone, my name is Emily, and today I'm going to be talking about Arteza's 36 half pan premium watercolor palette, as well as their watercolor paper pad. I've been using the watercolor half pan set for the better part of 3 weeks now. I used it in my watercolor tips video, as well as the Miki Saga video where I did that painting of Colin Farrell with a bunch of sprouts growing out of his face. Arteza had reached out a few months ago and sent me a few products to try. I'm going to be transparent here. Initially, they sent me some watercolor tubes, but apparently they're supposed to be used right out the tube. They're not meant to be dried and reused, and that's just not my bag. I let them know I wasn't a fan of the watercolors drying up and falling out of the palette. I then suggested that they maybe send me the 36 half pan set because they are pre-dried and reusable, and that's typically what I expect with most watercolors, even tube watercolors. They really should be able to be dried and reused. Sometimes certain colors will get dry and get a little cracked and fall apart over time, but all of them should not be drying, cracking, and falling apart. But guys, when I tell you it's like night and day between these two watercolors, like I don't know how two products can be so wildly different from the same company. And don't get me wrong, the two watercolors out of the tube, the colors were gorgeous and vibrant and dried beautifully on the paper. I was just really bummed that I couldn't make a pre-made palette with these tubes, but thankfully the half pan set more than made up for what was the slightly epic fail of those initial watercolor tubes. So let's start out with the pros. First off, these colors were so easy to rehydrate. Just a tiny spritz of water, 30 seconds later, they were moist, they were pliable, and another great point, they were highly pigmented. They actually took me by surprise because when you first look at the cakes, they're relatively dry, not like chalk dry, but they definitely have that student grade look to them. They kind of reminded me of any kind of mid-grade brand you would find on Amazon just by first glance. But this is a very good case of you can't judge a book by its cover, because with a couple spritz, 30 seconds wait, they were ready to use, completely pigmented, and really impressed me. The colors went on very smooth on different kinds of watercolor paper, which I was very impressed with. They stayed highly pigmented. They were easy to dilute with water. Another thing I was really impressed by is that they didn't separate when I let my mixed colors sit. Even sometimes really high professional grade watercolors sometimes will separate when you let your mixed colors sit for too long, and I really did not have any issue with that with these Arteza watercolors. I'd also like to note that they chose a pretty unique color palette, which has its strengths and its weaknesses, but I'll get to the weaknesses later. There were quite a few colors that I was really impressed by that, because it's 36 colors. A lot of them you really don't need, but are there for more of vanity's sake. I loved the olive green. I loved the addition of the periwinkle blue, and I absolutely 100% loved the color amaranth, which was like this pinky red, just slightly more pinky than a carmine red, but just enough so that it just was this gorgeous shade of just hot, deep pink. I was just really impressed by it and couldn't stop dipping into it. I just love dipping into the hot pink, which is a phrase that I've said many times in my life, many times unrelated to watercolors. Gotta love that pink! Another undeniable good fact is that these watercolors are really affordable considering there are 36 colors in this palette. Typically, you'd find yourself paying between $180 to $400 for really high-end professional grade watercolors in this same amount. Another great thing that really impressed me is all the colors lifted really well. Obviously, different colors are going to have different staining powers, but in a lot of the techniques I use in my paintings personally, I use a ton of lifting and smudging of already dried watercolors, so I was really happy when they easily lifted off the page for me. Now, this could potentially be seen as a con for some, but in my honest opinion, it really took some work to lift up the colors as it should. They shouldn't just come up the second they get wet, because you want to be able to layer your watercolors. But in my honest opinion, I had zero problems layering, the same way I had zero problems lifting up the colors when I really needed them to lift. That's it for the pros. Let's get into some neutral, just general facts. The palette does not contain a white, which to me is good, but for some people, they enjoy lightening their watercolors with the white, even though you're generally not supposed to. You're supposed to use the water. I get it. Some people are still beginners centers and it's more comfortable to use the white. White can also be beneficial if you're trying to create kind of a hazy effect with your watercolors. So just letting you guys know, there is no white in this palette. There is, however, a black. The cardboard packaging that it came in was nice. It came with a color card, which was great. I would have preferred it if they included maybe a piece of watercolor paper where I could swatch my own colors. Some art supply companies will include some watercolor paper with printed boxes for you to swatch your own colors, and I really would have enjoyed seeing something like that, opposed to those man-made color cards that, as you guys know, are never accurate. But I suppose it was pretty nice just to know where my colors were in general. The actual aluminum tin that the paints are in is fine. It's pretty much any generic aluminum tin that you could buy on Amazon. There's nothing wildly unique about it in any way, really. It came with one of those little loops on the bottom to put your thumb through if you like to hold your palette while you're working. It came with an additional fold-out tray, which I always take those off because I find that they just get in the way more than anything, and they are never straight out. They're always at a bit of a lean, so all the colors run down to the bottom, so I just took that off pretty much right away. If you've got a similar watercolor palette with an annoying flappy tray, all you have to do to take it off is get a small sewing needle and poke it through the hinge of the tray. There should be a long, skinny metal bar that is holding the tray onto the actual palette. If you push hard enough, that little rod will come out. You can pull it through and the tray will fall right off. But be warned, it's a real pain in the ass to get these things back on. So once it's off, it's off. It's no man's land from here. And now let's get into some of the cons, and keep in mind these cons are only what I have observed in the last 3 to 4 weeks that I have been using this watercolor palette. One of the things that really irked me is there is no true ultramarine blue in this palette. There is something that is like a very, very deep, more warm than the other blues, but it just, it's not going to take the place of a real ultramarine blue. So that is something I would absolutely 100% change if I could. Yes, there are some other brilliant, beautiful blues in this palette, but without a true warm blue, it is impossible to mix certain colors. In my mind, there were so many similar or unnecessary colors in this palette that I was just like, come on, why could you not throw in a true ultramarine blue or something very similar to it? This was actually the exact same qualm I had with the Viviva watercolor sheets, which I really, really love for their vibrancy and how fun they are to play with. They just no true ultramarine, just two greenish blues. I was pretty disappointed. Another color issue was I would have really liked to see more diversity with reds. I feel like you can really get away with having, different varieties of the primaries, but in this palette, it was like the amaranth color, which I absolutely loved, and then like 2 scarlet reds, one more orange than the other, and then the green blues, and then tons of yellows, tons of like ochres and cadmium yellows, and then lemon yellow, and then just tons of browns. So some of the color choices were just a little bit confusing, and I wasn't here for it. Kind of an addendum to that last point, there were too many browns in this palette. There were like 4 or 5 browns in this palette, and I was like, if you would have just given me that ultramarine blue that I wanted and maybe 3 browns, I could have gone hammy and cheese on the different kinds of browns that I could mix. In my mind, it's like a little bit more lazy to include these easily mixable colors opposed to different varieties of the primaries. But again, that might be an opinion-based con, but I feel like most people who use watercolors on a regular basis would agree that we don't need this many browns, and we certainly don't need this many yellows. And my biggest qualm, which I had to actually contact the PR representative to get like a clear, definitive answer, is that I have no idea what grade these watercolors are because the pigment and lightfast info is not available yet. When I first heard that, I'm like, I can't make a review on these watercolors. I really, really like them, but I cannot make a review because I don't know what I am comparing to. But with further thought, I was like, okay, well, who is going to be purchasing these watercolors? probably either beginners or, just getting into intermediate watercolor artists who are looking to diversify their watercolor collection, or someone who just likes to collect watercolors, who obviously also paints, but collects watercolors, which is me. I collect watercolors. I have so many palettes, it's kind of ridiculous. I do use all of them, but, I feel like that is the demographic that I'm going to be speaking to while making this review. So my overall consensus for the palette, just in general, and that's how I'm going to be reviewing this, just in general, it's great. 3.5 clapping babies out of 5. It just couldn't get the full 4 because of the color issue, and then it definitely couldn't get the full 5 because I don't know any of the pigment information. But overall, I was very impressed with these colors. They behaved perfectly fine. I felt very comfortable painting with them as if I was in my own watercolor environment with paints that I had personally chosen. The general application of the colors was fine. They went on smooth. They're highly pigmented, easily rewettable. My biggest issue was really with the choice of colors. If you're comparing these paints to other student grade paints, they're great. They're wonderful. They're excellent. But if you don't already know how to mix colors, then I would definitely think twice about getting this palette, especially if it's your first palette. If you've got another palette that has an ultramarine blue that you can use, then fine, that's great. Get these, they rock. If you're comparing them to professional grade, they work. They do what they're supposed to do. Just to reiterate, to be very, very clear, the colors, the application, the texture of the paints, great, wonderful, love it. The color selection, the lack of information, not so great. Definitely don't love it. Would be difficult if you don't know how to mix colors. This review was hard because me personally, I had so much fun using these colors and playing with them, and I was very comfortable with them, but I also could definitely see some cons for some more beginning artists. And then the watercolor pad, I am not kidding, I loved it so much. I was not expecting much from it. I really enjoyed the mixed media pads that they sent me, but that will be a different video. So I was like, oh, I don't know if the watercolor pad's going to live up. I could work this paper like no other. I could do whatever I wanted to this paper. I DDLG'd with this paper. So I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. I absolutely love this paper. It was awesome. It rocked. The only thing I didn't like was the overall, the texture, the way it looked. I know it's stupid, but some watercolor papers have a bit more of a wrinkly texture, and other ones have more of a pock texture, and this one was definitely more like the pockmark texture, and for some reason I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Clearly, I don't have trypophobia. If anything, I have trypophilia. I love holes and stuff. I just don't like it on my watercolor paper. So that was literally the only con. I love this paper. I highly recommend it. Dare I say it? I dare. 5 clapping babies out of 5. 5 whole babes clapping in unison. That's what I give this paper. I was really, really impressed by it, and I recommend it for sure. It worked well with other watercolors as well. It wasn't like it favored its own watercolors, even though I don't think paper can do that. I don't think paper is sentient, last time I checked. But anyway, guys, I hope this review helped you if you were on the fence about whether to buy these watercolors or not. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to stay out of trouble. See you guys later. If you're interested in trying some Arteza products for yourself, I've got some affiliate links in the description down below for the premium watercolor set, as well as the 100% cotton watercolor pad. If you're unaware, an affiliate link means that I will receive a small commission if you purchase something through one of those links. It will not affect the price of the product or the ability to use a coupon code. Speaking of coupon codes, you can enter the coupon code EmilyArtful1 at the time of checkout for 10% off your purchase. That coupon code is good until April 30th, 2019. Sorry that was a little long-winded. I just wanted to be very clear about those affiliate links. Okay, now about how to enter the giveaway. This giveaway is being partially run by Arteza, of course, so they do request that you follow @ArtezaOfficial on Instagram in order to officially enter this giveaway. Otherwise, please just be subscribed to me here on YouTube and leave a comment about what you like to paint with watercolors. I'll announce the winner next week Thursday through my community tab here on YouTube. Unfortunately, the giveaway is only available to those within the US and the UK. The next time I just do a personal giveaway just from me, I'll do it through a third-party website so even people without any social media can enter. I heard you guys, and I will definitely take that advice. I just couldn't do it in this particular situation patient because I'm running this giveaway with a brand and we've had this set up for a few months. Anyway, I love you guys and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Rest of your week. This video was brought to you by viewers like you. If you'd like to support the channel, please go to www.patreon.com/EmilyArtful and make a pledge today. Thank you guys again.